Hello, everybody. My name is Jeremy, and welcome back to Kanto, my Cities Skylines 1 series. Boy, it feels weird to say Cities Skylines 1, doesn't it? So I'm just going to go ahead and start referring to this exclusively as Cities Skylines. And if you get confused, I'm sorry. Welcome back, folks. I am recording these in advance. I'm a few episodes ahead of real time, so I don't actually know how the response to the first episode was, whether it's a wild success or whether it kind of came out with a bit of a whimper, if you will. So I'm just going to say an evergreen non-statement. Wow, what a response. Well, folks, we are back in the Kanto region here in Pallet Town, and we are working on a little bit of a geographical feature that I have added to the region. There isn't actually a river in Pallet Town in the game or in the anime, I believe. I guess I don't know that for sure, but I'm relatively certain. I would say up to 90% certain, in fact, that this is not from anything real. But basically, I decided that I needed some sort of a geographical feature here to kind of close in the space and kind of limit how much I can expand Pallet Town. So I decided there would be a small river that would lead its way up towards Viridian City eventually. We don't get to that in this episode. Right now, we're just kind of building the beginnings of this river. And I figured since we're so close to the ocean, or I guess maybe it would be considered like a bay or a harbor or something, given the position of Cinnabar Island. I figured since we're here and, the water here would probably be pretty rough and still quite salty. I figured we might as well protect it a little bit. And I have these really neat little riverside protective props that I got on the workshop that look pretty cool. And so I figured I would line this section of the river with them. And I think it comes out really cool. I think it's, I don't know, I think it's pretty realistic. I think they probably would be lined up a little bit more than I end up doing it, but I think it looks pretty nice, and it kind of gives it a little bit of a like industrial flavor that you just kind of come to know and love in Japanese media. I don't know what it is. I'm sure there's some scholarly analysis on this somewhere, but I feel like infrastructure is such a big part of the Japanese media that I've come to know and love. I was thinking about it because I saw, I downloaded a substation, an electrical substation asset on the workshop. It doesn't make an appearance in this episode. It's not really relevant to what's going on in this episode, but figured to talk about it anyway. So I downloaded this substation asset, and one of the comments on it was from somebody calling it Godzilla bait. And it made me think how funny it is. That's very accurate. It's very true. I'd never thought about it before, but things like electric substations, power lines, bridges, roads, they all feature really prominently in Japanese media. And I guess I'm not really sure why or where that comes from or what kind of what it says about Japan. I'm sure there are plenty of Japanese people out there who could answer this question for me, and I bet there is scholarly analysis, because surely this guy on the workshop was not the first one to notice. It's just interesting to me, and I'm curious if anybody knows anything about it. Please feel free to leave something in the comments for me. So here I'm kind of at the end of this river area, coming up to the highway section that I placed down. I built a little tunnel entrance for it off camera. It's not really that interesting. It's just a tunnel entrance. But I figured, the river kind of comes up to here, and rather than doing a bridge over it, I liked the idea of using this sluice gate asset, which I'm not going to pretend to be an engineer or to know almost anything about what I'm talking about at any given moment, but I believe these are for regulating the flow of water through a space. And so I figured it would be kind of an interesting idea to maybe kind of put this at the end of this river section going under this highway, and then I would put the river kind of starting again on the other side of it. The idea here being that this is regulating the flow of water from the ocean out to the rest of this river as it meanders its way toward Viridian City and other places. And I thought maybe it would be an interesting idea that, like, as a bit of a protection against surges, water surges, tsunamis, and the like, that maybe there was this kind of this mechanism here for regulating the water coming in and out of the river. And I figured it makes sense because we have this kind of river protective concrete stuff over here that shows that there is quite a bit of space in this section for the water level to rise. And it would kind of give it a little bit of a place to go before it goes out and floods the rural plains of the rest of the Kanto region. So I don't know. I think it makes some sense. I think it looks pretty cool in any event. So I decided it stays. And over here, I've got this little road that kind of runs next to it. Gotta say, for how many years old this rural asphalt road is, this is by Ronix, by the way. And it's several years old at this point. I mean, we're talking probably 4, 5, if I had to guess. For how old and dated this asset is, it's probably still one of my favorite roads on the workshop. I don't know that I can think of one offhand that I like much more than this. And he's got a whole set of them. There's a dirt one, there's a sand one, there's a mud one, and they all look really nice. Like, surprisingly nice for how old they are. I'm pretty shocked that they hold up quite as well as they do. Ronix was really ahead of his time, I feel. It's probably the only way to properly describe that. I don't know what we did to scare him off and to make him leave the community the way he did, but it's a shame. I really wonder how many more great assets we missed out on just by losing him to whatever he went on to do. Who knows? I sure don't. Anyway, over here I'm working on just kind of like giving a little bit of context for the sluice gate. I don't know that this is actually how it would work in real life. I don't know. Again, I don't know anything about sluice gates. I am not an engineer. I know very little about this sort of stuff, but I thought it would kind of make some sense to have a little access point. There's a little walking area to get into it. There's a little warehouse thing next to it that I figure is kind of like a place for, I don't know, like work vehicles, the things that road maintenance stuff and river maintenance stuff and whatever that kind of works on this area. They're kept in there. And I did put a cube service road maintenance asset in there just so something would come in and out and it would give somebody a reason to drive down this way. And surprisingly enough, people do drive down this way fairly frequently. I guess, at this stage, yeah, there we go. See, somebody's coming. At this stage of things, there's not a lot going on here in Pallet Town. There's not a lot of people living here. There's not a lot of workplaces. So I guess the couple of people who do live here have to work somewhere, and I guess they all work for road maintenance. So that's what's going on with that. Here I'm just adding some plants and stuff up to the top of this retaining wall. I'm using the prop versions because I do have the new tree controller mod, but I am not at all confident in my use of it. I'm not totally sure that I know exactly what I'm doing at any given time, so I'm still using kind of the old method of using the prop versions of all these trees to get them up to higher levels. Now over here, we're starting on a new project, and this is right next to the sluice gate, really, but I'm building a highway on-ramp, off-ramp that this is directly inspired from real life. If I remember to, I'm putting the inspiration on screen right now. And basically, I was trying to look for something that takes up like a decent amount of space because I want to, same thing with the mountains that I talked about in the last episode. I want to find reasons to kind of close in the area and find reasons to limit how much development I can do, just for the purposes of making this actually, a reasonable project that can be done in a short amount of time. And basically, so I was looking for some sort of a highway on-ramp, off-ramp situation that was in a rural area that, it seemed like it had a great deal of space to stretch its legs a little bit. And so that's kind of how this came to be. I one of the big challenges of this series, and I'm sure, again, I'm doing this from the past. You live in the future from my perspective, so I don't actually know how the response to this has been, but I'm going to go ahead and guess that somebody, at least one person, has shouted out in the comments that no, I do not have cars driving on the correct side of the road here. I started the save with right-hand traffic on. I don't think that there is a way to change it to left-hand traffic at this point without starting the map over again, and that's just not going to happen. I'm not doing it again. I did too much terraforming. I did too much, coloring of land to go back. Whatever, folks. It's a fictional depiction of Japan based on a fictional depiction of Japan. So we're just gonna live with it. People drive on the right here. That's just how it's gonna be. Sorry. We got to live with it. Anyway. One of the challenges of this series now is like finding direct inspiration from real life and then switching it over to the other side of the road. It's a shame, it's annoying, but it's how it's going to be. I'm also kind of dyslexic, so I'm pretty thrilled actually that I'm not putting the traffic on the other side of the road. I feel like that would have like the combination of looking at the wrong side of the road, or wrong from my perspective, looking at the other side of the road and then trying to transpose that onto my own understanding of how things work. I think just it would have twisted my brain into little knots, and I'm just happy to not have to deal with that. I hope that suffices for an explanation for why this is the way it is. I'm sorry. So anyway, over here, we have this kind of interesting on-ramp, off-ramp situation where, you have this one kind of overpass that allows a road to go to the other side, and then one overpass that just is highway, on-ramp, off-ramp. And I like the way that it kind of sits on the foothills of this mountain, so you get like a little bit of a height difference, not a ton, just a little bit. That you can kind of resolve with some retaining walls and just kind of, regular old tricks, the stuff that we're all used to, the stuff we all know and love from this game. This is so boring, by the way. The getting these guardrails in here, I always forget just how much I hate putting guardrails. It's very boring. I feel like there is a way to do this now with probably with the network multi-tool or something like that. I feel like there's some tool for doing this. I don't know it. If anybody does know it, please hit me up in the comments. I really don't. I don't like doing this, and I don't want to keep doing it. But from my observations of Japan, it's a pretty common way that roads are capped off. So I think we're just gonna have to live with it. Just kind of using the intersection marking tool here to copy over the markings from the other side, and then we got this little middle barrier here, which is a lot easier to work with than the side barriers. Requires a lot less fiddling and stuff. I like that it's got this curb on it too. That's a really nice feature of it. I do end up having to add a lot of nodes just because like running all this stuff downhill, it kind of just makes stuff get all out of whack height-wise, so you constantly have to be keeping an eye on that stuff. But all told, I'm really enjoying it. Working with these height differences is super fun. It gives everything a lot of visual appeal that I guess I'm not really used to in a lot of my projects. Thinking about it, there were a lot of height differences in Silver Republic. I won't say there weren't, but Neptune City, pretty flat, and Vogelstad, from a country that is famously flat. So, definitely not something that is, I would say, 100% in my wheelhouse, but really enjoyable all the same. I hope you're enjoying it. It's pretty fun to find different, tricks to manage these differences. And here you're seeing me kind of using, again, the prop versions of these plants. Here, not because of any particular height difference thing, but rather because I wanted to sink these weeds into the ground a little bit. And I wanted them to not rotate on their own terms, just so I can keep them pretty close to the side of the road without them bleeding over and without having to do too much work to, change their positions. Now here, we're kind of at the edge of what will be kind of like the workable land of Pallet Town. Now, this is kind of like the edge of it. We have this one retaining wall, and then that gets us up onto the mountain, and that's going to be it. That's the end of town as far as I'm concerned. I think maybe there will be a tiny bit of development in this little pocket between the highway and the mountain, just to the left of where we're working right now. You don't really see it in this episode. Maybe you'll see it in the cinematics later. Just kind of over there right next to the off-ramp. There might be a tiny bit of development over there, but other than that, this is going to be it. That's where stuff is going to end. And I feel pretty good about that. I think even with that said, I'm looking at the space that I have to work with and thinking, boy, I got a lot of stuff to fill, huh? Now we're working on the last project of the episode. This is sort of a... I guess it's like a rest stop, you would call it. I don't know. I saw this asset on the workshop, and I saw something like it in real life, kind of where this highway infrastructure that I'm taking inspiration from, where this actually physically is. There is something like this over there. And basically it is, it looks like it's just kind of like a place for tourists who came to Pallet Town to just kind of like stop off on their way out to grab some souvenirs, to grab something to eat before they get on the highway. Maybe if you're kind of on a longer road trip, this is a nice place to stop off and just kind of chill for a little bit, get something to eat. Maybe there's like a hotel in here. I don't know. Japanese people, sound off in the comments if you're watching this and let me know, what do these things usually have in them? I would imagine it's probably mostly a restaurant and souvenir store. It doesn't look big enough for too much hotel work, but what do I know? Certainly not that much. But basically I was thinking of this as, a place to stop off and grab some stuff and take a little break before you do all your driving. And I really like it. I think it's a cute, charming little thing to add to the edge of town here. I don't know necessarily that there would be a ton of visitors to Pallet Town. I think that's kind of what they suggest in the show and in the game, is that the place that Ash comes from, it's like a cute, place to come from, but it's probably the kind of place that you want to be leaving as soon as you're old enough to leave, right? Ash goes out pretty much right away. As soon as he's old enough to become a Pokemon trainer, he's out of there, and he's on his way to becoming a Pokemon Master, which I'm now realizing I don't know if he ever does. I assume he does. That would be a weird show if he didn't, but I definitely didn't watch it long enough to actually get to the end of the show. Sound off in the comments. Does Ash become a Pokemon Master? Let me know. I assume he did. So now I've got these really cool manicured little garden trees that I'm sticking up front, and I've got this pack of Japanese trees and flowers and stuff that some of them look better than others. Unfortunately, there are quite a few of them that just look like a mess, but some of them look pretty decent, so you'll see some appearances of them, but I think largely we're going to be using kind of non-specific trees. I wish there's this one really distinctive Japanese tree that you see absolutely everywhere. Don't know what it's called. It looks like it's some sort of an evergreen, and it would be great to have a good version of that, but that's probably asking too much of the community at this time. I don't think anybody is really thinking about making specific Cities Skylines assets anymore. And this is kind of the last thing in the episode. This is an old trick of mine. I've been doing it for a long, long time, where I use the ploppable asphalt to make kind of colored tiles to put underneath a playground. I think it looks really nice, and it kind of suggests that maybe they're those sort of like rubbery, floor tile things that you sometimes see on playgrounds or you see in kids' rooms. My son has those on the floor of his room, for example. And it's just kind of a nice little way to break up the ground of an area without kind of the same old, stains and cracks and stuff that we're used to. Obviously, I do also use the stains and cracks here. You'll see them featured pretty prominently. In any event, that's the end of the episode, folks. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.